Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drinking and Reading, Coffee and Weird Tales. I am unbelievably exhausted, but it's a beautiful, wonderful, magical day. And I thought, what a better way to celebrate that than to read Weird Tales outside. I'll probably have to lean forward to give you better sound because it's quite noisy out here. Yes, it's a beautiful day. I can actually see people hanging their clothes out windows. The sky is blue. The birds are singing. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful day. Anyway, yeah. So, Weird Tales wise, well, last we left Eddie and his Landvik. Eddie had been trying to jump out a window. He still hasn't smashed one yet, but you know, whatever. And his Landvik has gone through one of the picture frames into another dimension, into another world. He's told Eddie to reopen the door at 3 p.m. Yeah, at 3. So that's where last we left off, and we should just get straight into it. Oh, right, where are we? He shut the window and hammered back the nails, as Landvik mustn't suspect he had tried to get out. He returned the hammer to its place, profoundly depressed. He was marooned in his Landvik's house. You already know that. Because I read it last week. Anyway. Was it last week? No, the other day. It was last week. At 3, he touched his ring to the proper spot on the frame, and its Landvik wedged out, his arms laden with bundles wrapped in colourful cloths. "Quick, lock the door," he said. Yeah, it's fine. Eddie took away his ring, sealing the jungle world. As Landvik handed him some of the packages to carry, they were heavy as if made of metal, and irregular in shape. They went to the kitchen as Landvik put down his bundles on the table, ran back to lock the door, and returned to unwrap his findings. There were things made mostly of gold. Things made mostly of gold. Little idols, gem-studded combs, books with golden covers. "I'll sell these to a museum," Miss Landvik said, "though I think that the combs might go to a jeweller." And so that was the way things were. Weeks passed. Weeks passed. Eddie acted as housekeeper and gatekeeper to his Landvik's worlds. In all that time, he did not set foot out of doors. That is depressing. At last, he asked the giant, "Do you trust me? Can't I go out even to see a movie? I'm just about going nuts in here. I've got to get some air." The big man mulled over the question. "Yes, I imagine that I can trust you now. You may go out when you like." Eddie smiled appreciatively. "One of my, call them dogs, will follow you. Strange-looking, my dogs. Wait, what? No. Strange-looking, my dogs. They might attract unfavorable attention if you were to take them out strolling during the day. So, of course," he added smoothly, unlike me, "you will have to confine your outings to the night." Suspicious, mate. Or is it like... Anyway, to the night. Eddie was curious about the dogs. So far, he had not really seen it. The dog. So far, he had not really seen it. Perhaps it might be taller than it had seemed. He could befriend it, slip past it. He asked, "Well, may I go out now?" May I go out now? As Landvik cared nothing about current events. Why should he? Why should this world's news interest him? The matter of manly worlds. Why, he was in command of this very world. Eddie understood it now. Did he? Is he? With his legions from those other, doesn't mean he's in control, places, Aslanvik could tear this world to bits if he were minded, but the giant would not want to, no, because in all his other worlds he was not trusted. He was an outsider. Here in this world, he was safe in anonymity. Anonymity. At last the giant returned to let Eddie out. As he stepped into the room, the young man perceived that he held a leash, the other end of which was not in sight. "Here you are," he said, advancing to Eddie, tugging on the leash. Itchy nose. Tugging on the leash. Into the room came that thing which Eddie had heard prowling the hall and glimpsed through a keyhole. His dog, he called it. His dog, more like a giant lizard, but that was not the worst of it, no. No, the hellish thing was that the animal was transparent. Yeah. This fucking story's weird. Anyway, transparent, right? Well, after all, what was so peculiar about a transparent animal? Once you get over the shock of it, of course. He had left his chair and was standing at attention, blinking. The dog crouched close to Aslanvik, snarling most unpleasantly. Eddie was glad that the giant was there. "Now, Chalik," Aslanvik chided the beast, "that's no way to behave." His eyes glittered malignantly. "Really, it's a shame, but Chalik doesn't seem to like you. I'm afraid to leave you alone with him, and so I fear you won't go out for your walk tonight." Eddie asked, "But what is it? How can I see through it?" That's your question? Fair enough. Oh, it wasn't like glass. He could look into it and discern shimmering trails of phosphorescent lumps that were its bones, organs, and entrails. Even perceived 3 separately beating hearts. Aslanvik turned and led the creature away. With it went a whiff of the strange incense which Eddie had noted. The odor of the thing. Coming back, Aslanvik said, "It's called a kai, not a native of this world, as you've probably guessed, but from one of those frames, never mind which. And as for its translucence, what is so peculiar about that? Are there not creatures here translucent? What about tadpoles and some insects, whose names I cannot at present recall? This kai of mine is the same phenomenon, but on a larger scale. It's not native to this world, so why need it conform to this world's laws? And so Eddie did not get outside after at all. Fucking bummer. "There is an old saying that the devil finds work for idle hands," said Eddie. No, and Eddie's hands were idle most of the time. "There is a story of a sorcerer's apprentice who got in trouble by using his master's magic spells, and a prince, a gib in the Arabian Nights, who was not supposed to unlock one special door of the palace from which his 40 fair ladies had departed. And there was Bluebeard's wife, who opened a door which had been better left shut. Okay. And there was Eddie. All the panels were coated with a splotched silver sheen. To all effects, they were white. Eddie could not tell by looking at them what really lay beyond them. He could guess, but what seemed vaguely like a garden might turn out to be a misty lake. Eddie had just sealed Aslanvik into one of the panels. He had the ring, the key, in his hands and turned it over and over thoughtfully. Then he studied the frames, the walls crowded with them. He did not know what was within half of them. He wanted to see what they held, and did not dare. He approached one, ran his fingers over its carvings until he found the place where the ring was meant to be inserted. He lifted the ring to it and dropped his hand. Fucking coward. Come on, Eddie. Come on. Take a chance. Suppose he encountered one of his Landvik's Kais, his dogs, or one of those unfriendly things. He moved to another frame, found its keyhole, and fidgeted with the ring. But eventually, almost against his will, his hand lifted, set the ring in the proper spot, and twisted it. Fire gushed out. Eddie lost his front hair, eyebrows, and lashes as he staggered back, a hand thrown protectively over his face. It was not ordinary. It was not ordinary fire. It was intensely green, like the colored fire obtainable for Independence Day pyrotechnics. Within it, wrapped by it as though wearing a blazing cloak, was a shape of brighter fire, something like a candle's flame magnified thousands of times until it was about 9 feet in height and 2 in width. It trembled in the center of the green radiance, which rolled out of the frame and upward over the ceiling like an upside down view of spilled liquid. Its motion was slow and oily, but the heat was terrific. All that Eddie could hear was a snapping from the walls as green streamed up them, blistering the paint. Oh, whoops. Then he ducked low, scuttled forward, and jerked the ring from the frame. The circuit was very hot and burned his fingers. He dropped it. Yeah. Fuck off. I need to go back to the gym. Yes. Anyway. And dropped it. Go away. Where am I? The green flame spread lazily over the ceiling, the huge oval of bright fire still in its middle. The green began to dim and vanish. It died away, leaving a trail of charred and blistered paint where it had climbed the wall. Leaving two... What? Oh. I'm kind of a little bit nervous sitting here because somebody's been taking pot shots at a courtyard with an air rifle. Found a couple of these and some holes in the... Yeah, not all is bright and cheerful all the time. Anyway, yes, where are they? The green flame spread lazily over the ceiling, the huge oval of bright fire still in its middle. The green began to dim and vanish. It died away, leaving a trail of charred and blistered paint where it had climbed the wall. Leaving two... What? Leaving to the 9-foot candle flame image, which suddenly lifted upward. It seemed. Okay, that should have been separated by a comma. Anyway, it seemed into the very ceiling itself and did not appear again. There was no way of repairing the damaged wall. As Landvik was due back soon, maybe Eddie thought in a panic, maybe he could sneak outside. But could he get past the Kai? Could he? Yes. Could he? Should I read one more bit? Yeah, I'm going to read one more bit. Or wait. No, I don't think I will. I think no, hang on. Let's just leave it at that. It's about 15 minutes-ish of reading, which is good. Okay, so that's part 5, I think we're up to, of Dimensional Doors by Hans Bock. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, and I'm sorry. Yes, but I hope you've enjoyed this reading. I've enjoyed sitting out here, reading. Yeah, I'm also thinking of limiting myself to 1 reading per week and 1 video of crochet per week. So just giving myself, structure. structure. I think that's the key. Yeah, now is the time. Things are changing, things are moving along, things are improving, things are going to improve. It's time to change, it's time to fix things. So, yeah. In light of that, once a week, so, yeah. I know it's Monday, so I think that the next Weird Tales reading might be on Friday, and I'll do them on Friday. And I'll do a crochet on Saturday. So, yeah, it's gonna be it. It's gonna be it. If you've watched to the end, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've enjoyed, please like the video, and if you would like to join me for more Weird Tales and perhaps a little bit of crochet here and there, please subscribe. I would love to have you with me. Yes. Thanks for watching.